Let's go ahead and check out our to-do list over here. This part is done, which was covered in the last lecture. And the next one is the APR service does not call get credit score for invalid SSN. Okay, so invalid SSN means that the SSN that you have provided, that is just invalid. Invalid means that even the format is wrong. Like maybe you're entering like letters over there. Okay. So if I go back to over here, I can write this. Now this is more of a UI thing, right? I mean, you have to make sure that it is blocked on the UI, but it's always a good idea to also make sure that in the service point, like over here, we also need to make sure that the SSN is valid. Okay, but you should also be blocking it from the UI. And the reason I say that is sometimes you don't really have control of the UI. Like APR service over here, maybe it is exposed through some sort of a web API or some sort of other framework that we expose it in a package, and other people can just call it. Now, when other people are calling it, they are responsible for making sure that the SSN is valid. So if they're not validating it, we have to check here also. We can't trust the clients that they're going to always do the right thing. So when we go back over here, I can actually write this test. I can say test function APR service does not call get credit score with invalid SSN. And invalid SSN over here basically is meaning that the SSN is just wrong, meaning, it's not like that. That is valid, that's fine. Invalid means that maybe you're entering only like 2 letters over here or 2 numbers over here, or you're putting alphabets. So those things, all right? And that's the thing that we want to make sure. Now, there are many different ways of making sure that it does not get called. One of the ways that we have already learned is by using the confirmation, because we are trying to see that, confirmation is more like an expectation. So let's go ahead and create that, this one. Okay. And our confirmation, when we will create this confirmation, we will confirm expectation over here is 0, because we don't really want it to get fired. We don't really want the confirmation to ever happen. All right. And let's see over here, what are we missing? Oh, async. So let's make sure this is an async throws. And over here in the comment, we can actually say that the APR service call get or the credit card service even with the invalid SSN. So this is kind of like the error message or the comment we're going to receive if our confirmation is not met correctly. And the next thing that we can do is we can use our mock credit service dot on credit score SSN. We can say confirmation, and we can return something from over here. Let's actually put an equal to sign over here. We can return any credit score. It doesn't really matter what credit score that we are returning, and the reason is that this should not even happen. Okay. Next, we are going to be using a function that is going to trigger everything, which is just calling, creating the APR service, and then calling APR service dot get APR, APR, passing in the SSN. So whatever the SSN is over here, all right? So ABC, whatever, DE, whatever, F, whatever. It doesn't really matter, okay? Let's go ahead and put an equal to sign over here also. So this is our expectation that we have. Let's go ahead and build it. And let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so what's going on over here? Call can throw, but it is not marked with throw. I think somewhere we have to put a throw somewhere. Let's see. So this is fine. Throws, I guess they're asking over here to put a throw. Okay. All right. And let's go ahead and run this. Keeping in mind that now we are sending an invalid SSN. Ooh, our test is failing. See that? It's saying that the confirmation was confirmed 1 time, but expected to be confirmed 0 times. This means that even though we pass in a wrong SSN, which doesn't even look like an SSN, the credit score service still got called. APR service call, I think it should be called credit score service. This one. Yeah. So something is going on. Let's go check out our APR service. Now, if you look at the APR service get APR function, once you go inside this get APR, we're not really checking anything, right? I mean, we're not checking if the SSN is correct or not. So maybe over here, check if SSN is valid or not. All right. Now, how do we check that if the SSN is valid or not? If you look at the extensions, I've already created a function called isSSN, which uses regular expression to check if the SSN is valid format or not. So I can go back and use that. I can say over here, if it is not SSN.isSSN, if it's not, then we can throw some sort of an error. We can say APR service error dot invalid SSN. We can do that. Okay. Now, what is APR service error? Well, you can just create this APR service. Enum, this one, invalid SSN. Okay. Now let's go back to our integration test, and we are going to run this again. And hopefully this time the test will pass. Oops, still not. Okay, so what is it saying now? It's saying service does not call invalid SSN. So now it's saying that some sort of error was actually thrown over here. All right. So over here, now it's saying that some sort of error is thrown. So we need to fix that part. Now, we're not really checking for the error itself, right? We're just checking that if it doesn't call the credit score service get credit scored. So we can just replace this with a question mark so that we are just simply, not caring about the error. We just want to make sure that it is not getting called. And over here, we can remove the try part and then run again. And we'll be able to see that if the test is, there we go, test is passing and all the tests are passing. All right. So this was our very basic 2 integration tests. Obviously, you can write way more integration tests with that, but these are at least the 2 very basic ones that you can have. All right, especially the first one that we wrote earlier on. That's the important one because you have to make sure that when you use your APR service, which is your code, your managed dependency, it does internally calls the credit score service. Okay, and we have confirmed that it does call that. So that's the important part, and that is what makes it an integration test. And since it's an integration test, we are replacing everything with a mock. And we are verifying the mock. This confirmation is a verification that a certain event has actually happened. So that is what we're confirming. Okay. We don't really need to use over here any expectation. I mean, because the confirmation is the expectation. But sometime in the mocks, you can also add like this one, expectation. If you are expecting a certain result from certain thing, then in those cases, you can actually do that. That's perfectly fine. In this case, we were just kind of like confirming that it was just getting called. All right. But you can have expectations also. Okay. So there you have it. These are our integration tests for our APR service integrated with credit score service.